Let's look at mistake number 2, no sales system. Now, when I first started, like many speakers, I didn't really understand how the meetings industry worked. I didn't really have any sales skills and no marketing systems in place. So if you look back on your handout, this brings us to part 2, which is to systematize your sales. Even just a small little system to start with can be very helpful. Now, what I did, and maybe you've done, is that I just took what came to me. But then I realized, hey, I really enjoy this speaking thing. And so I wanted more opportunities. So I thought, I'm going to put together a nice, fancy, expensive speaker package with photos and a one sheet that listed everything about my speech and some testimonials and reams of information about myself. And then I addressed it to an association that booked a conference I wanted to speak at and put at the top of the envelope to whom it may concern. And then it would end up either lost in a pile with all the other speaker portfolios, or it would end up in the round file. No one would get back to me, and I'd feel dejected about the whole thing. Now, my attitude in those days was, I don't like marketing. That nasty sales part, I just wanted someone else to do it for me. I just wanted the phone to ring without me having to do too much to make that happen. And part of the problem was I thought that marketing and sales meant being this kind of sleazy used car salesman type of person. And I mean, certainly there are people in the industry who behave like that, but they don't usually get the long-term success. The other thing was the whole rejection thing. And I'm sure this is not new to you, is that when you're out there trying to pitch yourself to meeting planners, the chance that you're going to get rejected is quite high, right? Often before you get what you want to get. And so the combination of those two things made me just rather not do it. So we're going to talk about how to get over those two things. Now, after talking to successful speakers, I realized that there were people in my industry who operated in high integrity ways and could help me understand the meetings industry, get the right kind of sales skills, and help me get some marketing systems in place. So I got myself a coach, actually several coaches who helped me just break through all those fears that I had. Now, they told me something that was really interesting right at the beginning. And that was that I needed to be focusing about 70% of my time, money, and resources on marketing myself. Even if you're launching yourself to the next level at higher fees or a different niche, you really need to put in a lot more time. And that used to annoy me because I just wanted to be out there practicing my craft, being a speaker, focusing on my expertise. First balked at that idea, and I continued to avoid sales and marketing. And guess what happened? Because it's very hard to survive and thrive with that attitude. And I indeed did go broke at the beginning doing it that way. So then I switched my attitude and I decided that I could make marketing kind of a creative and fun part of practicing my craft instead of this horrible obligation. And that's when my business took off. Because it's very hard to give away the marketing of your business to someone else. You can get helpers, and we'll definitely talk about that. And agents and things like that, but you can't give the whole job away and expect to do well. The trick is to find a way to make it work for you. And there's this great example that Weight Watchers give when people ask what kind of exercise they should do to slim down, and their response is, the kind you'll actually do. So pick something you enjoy, is the idea here. And what I realized is, well, I love speaking, and speaking is a great form of marketing. So I made that my main way to sell myself, because there's that old adage, the more you speak, the more you speak. And the upside is that when you know how to book speaking engagements and you can do them well, even if you're speaking for free, then that becomes your marketing tool to end all marketing tools. And it's 10 times more powerful than anything else you could be doing. And later I'm going to show you a way to ensure you get more speaking engagements during a speaking engagement. So this 5-part process can really help make the sales an enjoyable experience for you. And when I realized that sales, it's just about building trust with decision makers and helping them, just understand the value of what you do, right? How you can serve their needs. And that really changed the game for me. The truth is, if you're involved in an endeavor like speaking that's important to you, and you say you don't want to do the sales and marketing part, it's kind of like saying you want to find your ideal mate without ever having to talk to anyone. So it's really just finding an outcome that serves all concerned and reframing it like that. Like, for example, one of my clients, Janice Stanfield, does what's called keynote concerts. And she's a singer and songwriter and a humorist. And she's been doing this for like 20 years all over the world. And what she does is she gets to know people personally. And she's just a great listener. So she comes with the intention of adding value regardless of whether or not she got booked. And because she's really great at making friends with people. And if you're good at making friends with people, then just go in with that attitude. Because people do business with people they like, know, and trust, right? So let's get cracking with systematizing your sales. Now, I will say that people who are successful in this tend to spend 2 to 10 hours per week just searching for speaking engagements and calling people and following up. So if it's just a sideline for you, 1 to 2 hours a week might do it. But if you're really wanting to do this full time, the average is about 10 hours a week. So it can be really quite engaging. It's like, being a sleuth searching for the holy grail of speaking opportunities once you have a cool system in place. And there's an interesting phenomenon that the more clear you are in your offer, audience, and goal, it's like you start to magnetize things to you. They just start to show up more. It's when you have that lack of clarity that they don't. So this is a great place where you can get an assistant or a virtual assistant to help you. And if you systematize your search, it makes it easier to give part of the job away to somebody else. And when I did this, it's tripled my income from speaking within 1 year. And in particular, one speaking engagement I got made this huge difference. There was a big human resources conference that I wanted to speak at, but each time I contacted the events team, nobody ever got back to me. And I finally got booked as the opening speaker in front of 1,000 people. And because of that one engagement, my entire career changed. And that can happen for you. And it's because of the next 4 parts of this webinar. So let me give you an example of how this might look. This was a client of mine who helps women business owners. And her ideal audience, women business owners over $1 million in revenue. And the problem she helps them solve, hire and fire the right people. Geographical region, West Coast of the US. Overall goal for speaking, building credibility, getting referrals, getting clients, so she would speak for free or get paid. So she looked at all these different places she could possibly find a speaking engagement and chose 3. So that's what I'm asking you to do. Just choose 3 and then write next to them which ones you're going to research. So she lives in San Diego. She thought, I'll go to the San Diego Chamber of Commerce. There should be successful women business owners in that audience. And then she also thought she would target a networking group called Executive Women Business Owners because she knows they bring in speakers. And finally, an association event. She looked for 2, Tourism Congress and California HR Conference. So let's look at the first one. When she decided to go to the San Diego Chamber of Commerce, she went to the events site and she sees all these different topics they have. And she thought, okay, mine looks like a good fit given other topics they've had. And then she just goes to the chamber team page and finds who organizes events. So she's got 2 names, a manager and a coordinator. So the best thing to do is call the coordinator or email them and get a bit of information before talking to the decision maker, which is probably the manager. So the other thing she did, and you can do this too, is she thought of somebody else who spoke on a similar topic to the same kinds of audiences to see what events they speak at. So all you do is type in the speaker's name plus conference into Google, and she found this event, which was the California HR Conference. But when she went to the speaker's page, she discovered all this information about how to apply as a speaker, and she ended up getting 2 long-term consulting clients out of that event. So here's another thing she did was because she had worked in the travel industry for quite a while with hiring and firing. So she knew that she had some credibility there. So she just typed into Google list conference plus travel plus sales. And then she found this big long list. And if you do the search term list, you will find that it saves you a lot of time, right? So she went through this list and found one that she liked, and which was the Tourism Congress. And when she clicked on the event link, this is what she found. We're hard at work confirming the details of the 2013 Congress. Please check back soon for a list of featured presenters. What does that mean? Type it into the chat. Yes, indeed, it means they don't have all their speakers yet. Good time to contact them. Now, who does she contact? Well, again, events team. They're not always called the events team. They could be program chair, but look and see what's there. And we see the vice president of events, but there's also the coordinator. And again, I often suggest contacting the coordinator to get some details first before going to the decision maker. So, here's what you do. You just find 3 events to research by and give it a date and who you'll be accountable to. So this could be a success partner, a coach, your assistant. You can do this, right? It's simple. It's easy. It doesn't take much time. And by having a little system like this, it makes sure you do it, right? Now, one of my clients, a 30-year veteran of speaking, Carla Freed, on team building and leadership and all kinds of great things. And she just gamified the process. So creating a score sheet with a goal each week. So like making 40 contacts. And then she'd report into a success partner whether she did it or not. And this totally just kept her putting in those hours every week and making it fun for her. So you can do this too, right? Use a system and be accountable to someone.